What is something your partner has done during sex that completely ruined it for you? When I was in her, she asked me, "Whose PSSY is that?" so many times that she actually started to convince me that I didn't have any idea whose PSSY it was. I got distracted. The first few times she said it, I said with utter confidence that it was indeed my PSSY, and I did with it as I pleased. But after many more times asking than necessary, and actually demanding an answer from me, I started to think that not only was it not mine, but it might not have been hers either, and perhaps was a loner, or she maybe pilfered it. Definitely just pulled me out of the moment. While getting oral from my girlfriend, she stopped to reply immediately to a text her new friend Jacob, whom she met at Planet Fitness. Edit. Update. If it makes you feel better, she'll probably have a great deal of difficulty cancelling her Planet Fitness membership. Had an ex-queef one time during sex. She looked me right in the eyes and said in a result tone, "She's talking to you." Once had a dude flick my clit so hard I rolled over in pain. It was sore and swollen for a couple of days. Now, I don't mind a good clit flick, but having it assaulted like a bug on your shoulder you're panicking to remove ain't cool. In the middle of doing the do, she started crying and said, "I have to learn to enjoy this or no one will ever love me." Another hookup, we were going at it and she looks me in the eye and asks if I was almost done yet. She was getting bored. I told my ex that I liked it when guys made noise during sex. It feels weird when he's completely silent. So he made noise for me. It was high pitched and quick moans. Turns out, he only ever watched lesbian PRN, so he made the noises he'd heard. I never asked him to make noise again and in fact, encouraged silence. Put the condom on for me and pinched the reservoir tip like you're supposed to. Then thought it'd be cute to snap it back like a rubber band. A girl I used to sleep with in college. Oh my. I'm going to. Oh my god, here it comes. Screaming at the top of her lungs. Orgasm. She actually screamed the word orgasm at the top of her lungs whenever she came. Saying her ex's was bigger but this is just as good. Whoa. I honestly don't think I could ever recover from that. I had a girlfriend tell me this is the second yummiest dick I've ever tasted and started giggling. I immediately called a full retreat and got Ed. About a minute later she told me she was trying to make a joke one of her girlfriends told her, but I ruined it by not asking whose was the best. To which she'd reply, "My daddy's." I later had to explain to her why that joke would never work while sucking a guy's dick. In the middle of sex when she was on top she asked me if her stomach rumbling was like a vibrator for men. Looked at the clock. She's my wife. I called her on it. "Did you just look at the clock?" Sheepishly. "No. Damn it." I once said something along the lines of "You're so tight," and my girlfriend without missing a beat said, "Yeah, you're pretty cool yourself." We both ended up laughing. During casual foreplay the girl I was with was telling a story about her and her friend talking and she referred to herself in the third person. During a pause I asked, "Who's ex?" Full stop. Implying that I'd forgotten her name, which I had. Foreplay was over and I was out the door before the commercial break ended. You could recover that. Just say, "Well, you referred to yourself in third person. I thought you had a friend with the same name." I however forgot a girl's name. During casual foreplay. She asked if I knew it. I was honest and said I forgot it. Then she still had sex with me. My girlfriend was giving me a hand job and I told her to twist it. Smacked my hand away when I tried to guide his hand to a new place that wouldn't kill my clitoris. He didn't like to be told what to do. It turns out, a dude like that. Move your fingers to the left a little, and his response, "What? You wanna write me an instruction manual?" Whenever she queefs, it doesn't bother me a bit and normally I just ignore it and keep doing my thing. But for some reason it embarrasses her to no end and she'll go red-faced and start crying. Definitely kills it for us both. I keep trying to tell her that it's nothing to worry about. But it's just not getting through. Maybe try farting to make her feel better. See, I do it too, Nasaria. I went to this girl's house when I was around 19 and we started having fun on the living room couch and suddenly I heard banging. Turns out she locked her little brother in the bathroom so she and I could bang. He was crying and yelling in Korean. Completely killed the mood. Edit. Thank you for the silver random person. My ex tried his best to dirty talk but was god awful at it. Once said, "You like when I rub your dirty vagina?" Not sure how he thought that would sound SI or appealing at all. Edit. I'm sobbing. This is THR story that gets me gold mayo. Wasn't her fault but killed the mood nonetheless. I was getting a blowjob and her nose ring got caught in my zipper. So she stuck with my cock in her mouth trying to get loose. Say, "My nose ring is caught on your zipper. Now say it with a dick in your mouth." I couldn't stop laughing. She started laughing. It took forever to get her free. She's an amazing girl and I hope her all the happiness in the world. Edit. Typos. I also forgot to mention. That was our first weekend together. The first night we met. Ex kept saying, "What you doing?" in a baby voice whenever I went down on him. This one was my fault but I couldn't resist. She had told me about a sex dream she had where I was touching and she was saying yes. Give me those ice cream fingers. I want your ice cream fingers. We both had a good laugh and then forgot about it and moved on with our lives. Several days later we were getting frisky and I started touching her clit and she said something like, "Oh yes. Don't stop." So I leaned down close to her ear. All as I like. And huskily whispered, "You like those ice cream fingers?" She burst out laughing and the mood was completely ruined. But it was so worth it. Tore my frenulum from top to bottom. Bled like hell. But she sat with me in the ER for 4 hours. Frenulum. Dot. Scream my dad's name. Don't your mum then. My gal moving from BJ to riding on top. She has kneed me in the balls enough times I think it's her kink. As a joke. I said, "What are you doing in my swamp?" with the Shrek accent and all when he entered me. I'm not even ashamed. Had a guy freak out on where to put his stuff. I told him it didn't matter. I'm on BC. He starts to panic. Dick in hand. Squats down and comes on the floor. That was the last time I spoke to him. Edit. I am absolutely humbled at how much laughter my story brought to everyone today. I never imagined this would blow up like it did. Thank you guys for the silver and gold too. Ex-girlfriend bit the absolute out of my lip like scary hard. He kept insisting that I tell him a story. If I stopped talking to actually try to enjoy the sex, he would stop and say it again. Eventually I just zoned out of the eyeing and made some up. And then he complained that I didn't seem into it and asked me if I came. He's attempting to rub my clit. And instead is giving my lower left labia a Swedish massage. I don't expect every partner to have an innate sense of my anatomy. So I grab his hand to reposition. He refuses. And goes back to the same spot. So I move his hand again. He goes straight back to labia flicking. And says, "Don't interrupt me. I know what I'm doing. Just relax, baby." So condescending tones and having my labia massaged while my clit cries from abandonment is probably my #1 mood killer. Edit. The amount of people who have also been in a similar spot is astounding. I'm sorry to you all. But also these stories of fumbling failures of fornication are making me laugh my ass off, so thank you. Sir. Pleasuring a partner is a skill that you should not be ashamed to ask for help on. If your partner shames you for making a mistake instead of guiding you or talking, that's not okay. Bit my clit. Enough to draw blood. I like it rough but not that I'm rough. Many years ago, I was having crazy high school sex with my crazy high school girlfriend on my parents' sofa during an extended lunch break. As I was approaching climax, she yells out, "Come on my tits." Full stop. Not one to disappoint, actual lie. I pulled out and she reached down to quickly pull off the condom. She grabbed said condom by the tip and yanked hard and fast, thinking the lube would allow a quick slip and slide off of me. Nope. The condom held strong and she began stretching it to about a half mile in length. Due to some naturally occurring lubrication on that mighty Trojan, the tip slipped from betwixt her fingers and it snapped back to the head of my unmighty member. The only noise louder than the sonic boom created by its return speed was the wailing cry I let out that left the neighborhood dogs howling for hours. I did not return to school that day as I was ruined. Edit. X was super into Disney movies. Wanted to roleplay some Disney movie like Hercules or Aladdin. First thrust in, I let out a spot on Goofy laugh. My side of the bed was cold for the rest of the night. Still tried to play off it the morning, keeping the Goofy movie impression. Made her some eggs trying to imitate that diner lady. Eggs. 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 Here you go, sweetie. It was the first Disney movie we watched together. She sounded like a rubber chicken. I don't think you're in. I was a few months into a relationship with my now husband. And while I was blowing him, he let out a very tiny fart. I was going to be mature and ignore it. Farts happen. But it began to smell so bad. Neither one of us could ignore it. I started laughing and couldn't stop for the next 10-15 minutes. Killed the mood. But at least we laughed about it. Edit. I'm glad so many of you enjoyed this horrific moment in my Azul history. And also glad so many of you had similar gassy mishaps that you were inclined to share. My husband doesn't read it and I told him how this comment has blown up. And he just shook his head. He'll probably Dutch oven me later. Thanks for all the love. Edit 2. Gold. That's amazing. Thank you. Kind stranger who thinks farts are funny. Remind me to swing by Target. The sack of potatoes SX partner. Please show signs of life. You're eyeing groceries. And expecting too much from them. She accidentally pooped on me during doggy style and then broke up with me the next day saying she couldn't look me in the eye anymore. Tie situation all round. When I was 18, my 22-year-old girlfriend started shaking during sex this one time. At first I thought to myself, damn, I'm good. But then I realized she was having a seizure. Her vaginal muscles were convulsing and I ended up coming as I tried to pull out. So there I was, cradling the head of my girlfriend who I just found out was epileptic. While she was covered in my cum and I was trying to make sure she didn't swallow her tongue. Edit. Holy, this is unexpected. Thanks for the silver and gold. First time ever. A couple things. 1. Trying to go through the comments and upvote everyone, sorry if I miss you too. At the time I thought that the tongue swallowing was a thing. She told me afterwards that the real risk for her tongue is biting it. 3. We were laying down in bed at the time so there was minimal full risk. 4. We are not still together. However, we are very great friends still. Edit 2. Plat. Wow, what an adventure. Ask my GF to talk dirty to me as she started giving me a handy. With a serious face she says, I'm going to on your chest. We had tears in our eyes from laughing so hard. Bit the tip like it was some sort of corn dog. Had an asthma attack. Edit. Thanks for the silver stranger. Keep breathing in the bedroom. My ex had random music playing. It changed to O Come All Ye Faithful. The irony is not lost on me, and he said, oh god, I just thought about my mom. Needless to say, things ended at that moment. Edit. Holy puns. Comma, this blew up. A few answers. SX ended. Not the relationship. It was oh god as in not a oh god yes. He was instantly turned off as well. Wasn't my music but agreed. A playlist is important. Not washing beforehand. Adults should know that at the end of the literal day, the human bottom does not smell pleasant. I hid party poppers all over my bed. The MRS comes over. We get into it. Start doing it doggy. I start to faint an orgasm and blew my party popper all up her back. It was glorious. Kept saying yeah baby come for me, yeah I'm calm, etc. When I was nowhere close and he was just thrashing around with no technique. Dude made me bleed and no. I did not end up finishing, obviously. I see you two have had the pleasure of eyeing my ex. Came down at a wrong angle and bent my dick in half. Edit. Okay. Let me answer some of the more common questions. No. There was no permanent damage. There wasn't even any swelling or bruising. At least none that was noticeable. No. I'm not the person you know who has had this happen to them. Apparently it's quite common. No. I can't pee around corners. Yes. We still have sex with her on top sometimes. Finish him. My wife was on top of me and sneezed. She shot a booger out of her nose and up my nose. We both laughed our asses off, but it was very disgusting. We were pretty much done at that point. I was having sex with my girlfriend and she looked distant and then started laughing uncontrollably. I asked her what was so funny. And she said she was thinking of SpongeBob and that she wanted to stop having sex to watch SpongeBob. Husband and I had recently seen the Cock Magic episode of South Park. So it was featured heavily in our inside jokes at the time. We're doing the dirty and he leans in and goes, "Is it behind your ear, little girl?" Asterisk. I laughed so hard there was no recovering. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Anonymous user. Colon. Almost completely ruined it. But a girlfriend of mine used to say I pay repeatedly. I don't like being called daddy by any women I'm with. And saying it in Spanish doesn't help make it any less awkward for me. What also didn't help either was the fact that neither of us have any Hispanic heritage and I'm pretty sure she failed at least one high school Spanish class. Guy told me to shut up because when I would talk he would have to stop and think about an answer and he would get soft. God gave man a brain and a penis. But only enough blood to use one at a time. Edit. Robin Williams. Because I forgot where I'd heard this. She accidentally moved the shower knob from nice and hot to hell for people who drive slowly in the left lane hot. I screamed first and she quickly followed with a respectable screech of her own. While we scrambled to shut the water. No more sex was had that day. Today we laugh about it though. Which is nice. I told him I needed to toot. To warn him haha. And he said in a dirty talk voice, "Toot for me baby." He explained he didn't mean to say that in a SI way. Just trying to say it's okay to toot. I was red-faced as hell. And had to immediately get off. Edit. I did not have an orgasm. An ex said those immortal words, "Me daddy. Make mommy jealous." Everything died at that very moment. My penis retreated so far into my body it took a week to coax it out. I had to sit to even pee. I was the very early stages of dating this girl who was sexually abused throughout middle and high school by male family members, plural. Stepdad. Uncles. And one grandparent. Sick. Sick. Sick as who need to be steamrolled feet first as they lay on piles of Legos. I let her set the pace of our relationship and one night we either left the movies or some new restaurant we had never been to when SI times were going to happen for the first time. I was maybe one thrust inside her, missionary, when she puts her feet on my hips and slowly pushes me out and away from her. I asked if she was okay. Put my hand on her leg and she's shaking like crazy. In the middle of summer and all I remember her saying was that I reminded her of her stepdad just now and starts bawling her eyes out and apologizing over and over saying things like my brain is so ed up. I'm such an idiot. While I just sat there naked trying to comfort her with a condom sliding off my now completely flaccid dick. Shockingly, nothing happened that night and that relationship didn't end well. She was super loud and PRNO like. "You're so big." Loud moaning etc. I have an extremely average penis. When she went down on me she was super aggressive and she didn't really listen to me when I told her I didn't really like the whole gag on the dick thing. After a bit I told her I was too drunk to get off. Nice girl. Still friends but not really looking to repeat. Edit. Extremely average is just like the perfectly normal beast from the restaurant at the end of the universe. It might be the most average penis of all penises in the world. But it still makes a delicious sandwich. Better than screaming "you're so extremely average." He asked if I liked his meat missile, then as he was about to finish said he was going to nut in my guts. It was like an unsigh. Raunchy dr. Seuss. Jiggles my fat. Please stop. He told me to say I loved him. It was the first time we had sex and we weren't dating. One ex started crying when we were getting ready to have sex for the first time. Game over. Nope. I've never gone soft so fast. I get that some people cry during sex. But I absolutely cannot handle it. It immediately makes me feel RP. What if they cry right after having a massive orgasm cause it was just that I'm good? Started an argument. Had a very effeminate guy who wanted to spank me over his knee. I was like sure whatever. But then discovered he was super verbal. So imagine just the most stereotypical lisping gay guy you can going you've been such a naughty boy and yes bitch. You like it when daddy punishes you? I'm perfectly fine with femme gays being on top and all. But the constant stream of campy PRN lines coming out of him was too much so I sort of zoned out until he got his fill. My girl and I were pretty young and in high school still. We were alone at her parents' place so I decided to make a move and start making out with her. I had her on her back and went to lick and kiss her neck. She loved it but knew I was trying to turn her on and she doesn't like to do stuff in her house. I lived alone. She responds to my kissing with "Oh, you little turd," in a really turned on and breathy moan. I was simultaneously laughing my ass off and soft as jelly after that. Edit. I worked, and still work, as a piano player at a fine dining restaurant since I was 15. I look young so people tipped heavily. My parents were abusive so I moved out into a small apartment that my friend's parents rented out to me under the table for cheap. Very grateful for the opportunity my job and my friend's parents gave me. Called me a. Knew it was a hard no for me. Did it anyway. Told me I was gonna have to get to where I liked being called his little if I wanted to keep eyeing him. Told him I'll pass thanks. Girlfriend told me to suck her dick in Gollum's voice. I was the partner who ruined it in this case. During the winter months. I get nosebleeds all the time because my veins suck. We started SI time. And while giving oral it started running down my nose. Kinda ruined the mood. Edit. I should clarify that I am a dude and the partner in question was a girl. Me bleeding on her pubic region wasn't a turn on for any of us you kinky people. Edit 2. This was a one-time occurrence. Please shut up about cauterizing. I know my options. This was after sex. My husband lasted a long time. Much longer than ever before. He seemed so pleased with himself and asked if I knew how he did it. I said no and asked how. I thought about Skittles. I didn't have sex with him for a month because that was all I could think about. 3 words. Forgotten Diva Cup. Woke up. My first boyfriend and I were getting into it and I started breathing heavy. He stopped and asked, "Why are you breathing weird?" I stopped. And I had silent sex for years after that because I was afraid of sounding weird lol. So not as serious as some of the other replies. But when it's really late and we're both tired my soul will still always after to get me off. I usually decline. But when I do accept he tends to yawn right at the worst times. I'm like trying my best and then hear a big yawn in my ear haha. On my balls. When she was riding me. I did not ask for her to on my balls. Told me that I'm so good in bed it makes up for her being not at all physically attracted to me, ever, while making out. I was fat at the time, but what kills me inside is that I wasn't fat when we started, and whenever I used to actively try to lose weight when we were together, she used to ask me to not do it, and we dated for 3 years almost. I lost my drive instantly at the moment and couldn't even get myself hard anymore that night. Hello to 1+ years of insecurity about looks. I've lost enough weight, 124 kg to 95 kg, that some girls, quite a few girls, find me attractive physically, but I still feel fat. One time my wife put ice cream on my nipple, and as she was seductively licking it off, I said, "Feast." My child, she immediately stopped and I couldn't stop laughing. Worth it. Asked my wife to do the Freakazoid dance and song while she was riding me. Didn't go over very well.